there's a certain feeling in the air whenever Donald Trump is president, quite frankly. I notice a better energy within the world. I do.
Just
I'm
a better vibe?
superstitious. I mean, it's a vibe. You got to feel the vibe. And I think it's a shame that Christians and Catholics don't help each other more to get into positions of power to put America first. If you look at Mexico, they have a Jewish president, but less than 1% of the population of Mexico is Jewish. Why do they have a Jewish president? It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't represent.
I have hazel eyes. Less than 3% of the population has hazel eyes. Would it be weird that I was president of the United States?
I have hazel eyes as well. Last week, within tariffs, he said now is a great time to buy. The market rallied right after. And certainly there had to have been some sort of insider trading there.
That's illegal, right?
It's America first. So in terms of the healthcare, I don't believe it to be the president's job to really interfere.
So did you vote for Donald Trump?
I did.
Why'd you vote for Donald Trump?
Personally, I thought that he had a lot of values that I believe to be true. Putting America first, I thought that was really important to me.
How do you think that Donald Trump put America first?
I'd say that he put America first by very much so having policies that benefit the middle class. But I didn't really want to talk about Donald Trump in particular. I want to talk about a few other specific things, particularly the U.S.'s and Western descent towards Jewish influence. And I thought that was very important.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, the West has had the shift towards Jewish influence, and where we have leaders that make and support policy that is beneficial to Israel and their cause.
So wouldn't you say that Donald Trump is more beneficial to Israel?
I would, and I'd say this is kind of a critique to him. I think that it's unfortunate because whenever he really campaigned, he said, it's America first, we're going to be putting the American people. And quite frankly, we sent too much money to Israel. We sent too much money. And I mean, would you agree or?
Yeah, if you support, I don't want any armed support for Israel, but I'm asking if he supported him more, why would you support him?
It's just unfortunate. You got to choose the lesser of two evils. And that's how I felt during this election. I know there's going to be a lot of centrists that are watching this that can relate. And you come with the goods and the bads. And that's really how it was for me.
Based on that reason, he wasn't the best of two evils, though, right?
I would say more so because he's a strong figure for America. That's one of the biggest reasons why I chose him over Kamala. And say if Kamala was more put together and I thought that she represented America more, then I think I could have voted for her. But Trump coming back and having to rerun and recampaign, he built a strong followings, particularly after Joe Biden, the debate. I think that's what kind of won it for him, where Joe Biden fell apart a little bit. During the debate, he was a little bit slow. Everyone knows that. But yeah, I mean, what's your take in terms of Jewish influence? Because I look at these countries in South America. If you look at Mexico, they have a Jewish president. But Mexico makes up less than 1% of Jews. Less than 1% of the population of Mexico is Jewish. Why do they have a Jewish president? It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't represent.
I have hazel eyes. Less than 3% of the population has hazel eyes. Would it be weird that I was president of the United States?
I have hazel eyes as well.
Yeah, would it be weird that one of us was president of the United States? Because we're 3% of the population. No, it wouldn't be. So why is it only weird in this circumstance?
It's weird because hazel eyes, nobody builds a strong bond and influence over at the color of their eyes. Religion is a very powerful thing that people build a strong following behind. And, there's something that I wish Christians and Catholics did. Something I found is that Jews help Jews. I think it's a religious thing. And I think it's a shame that Christians and Catholics don't help each other more to get into positions of power to put America first.
Well, then here'd be my question. Why is Christianity true, but not Judaism?
Judaism, I mean, America is a predominantly Christian and Catholic country.
But why is it true?
Why is what?
Why is it true? You say Christianity is true, but Judaism is false.
I'm personally Catholic. I came up here with my personal belief. Jesus Christ is king, and that's just my truth here. I believe.
Do you have any reason to believe that to be true? No?
It's just true.
Okay.
That on my behalf, I believe in Jesus Christ as king. I don't want to be debated or persuaded out of it. I got to stand hard on that.
Sure. Then I'll ask you a question here specifically relating to the middle class. You said that Donald Trump benefit the middle class. Could you name a single policy that Donald Trump influenced to get passed that benefit the middle class?
Particularly, I'm sure tax cuts being one thing. And something I've noticed is this liveliness. I said that Donald Trump is a face of America almost compared to Kamala or Joe Biden. And there's a certain feeling in the air whenever Donald Trump is president. Quite frankly, um, I I notice a better energy within the world. I do.
Just
I'm
a
a
better vibe.
superstitious. I mean, it's a vibe. You got to feel the vibe. It's a white boy summer. I mean, quite frankly.
What do you mean by that?
Dude, it's a great time to be alive. I mean, we're dealing with a massive AI boom. AGI is supposedly 6 months away.
Like nothing related to Trump. So like you brought up the tax cuts. The tax cuts that Donald Trump's proposing would increase taxes on lower and middle income individuals because he's doing tax cuts for the rich and wealthy, and he's doing tax increases for the low and middle class because tariffs disproportionately affect the middle class because they're regressive by nature. Income tax is progressive by nature. So if you're shifting the burden, you're hurting the middle class. That's what Donald Trump's doing, especially with the quote unquote Liberation Day tariff. So he plays it off as he's decreasing taxes, but no, he's actually increasing taxes on you, everyone you know, but he's decreasing taxes on his rich buddies so that they can make more money. He's manipulating the stock market so that they can make more money.
Yeah.
That's what Donald Trump is doing. He's helping out people who are rich. He's not helping out you and any other working class people. He doesn't care about Main Street. He cares about Wall Street. That's what Donald Trump has been, and he's always been throughout his entire life. He's a billionaire, grew up in a mansion, right? That's all he's done his whole life. So why would we expect any differently now that he's in the position today?
I agree with you partially. And I don't think that Charlie Kirk personally is critical enough on Donald Trump and his policies. I mean, I'm sure we can find the same ground that last week, within tariffs, he said now is a great time to buy. The market rallied right after. And certainly there had to have been some sort of insider trading there.
That's illegal, right?
It's America first, and it's America first on my behalf for different reasons. And say Charlie Kirk would say it's America first.
Is it America first to insider trade, or is it like Trump first? Because to me that sounds like Trump first, not America first.
It's unfortunate, and a lot of people could say Donald Trump is scheming in a sense with his recent cryptocurrency, DJT coin. It pumped, it dumped, and how do you feel about that? You feel like that's schemy? It's
like foreign governments could be sending him money in so many different ways.
We could agree on this,
right?
This is agreeable ground.
Yeah.
I would.
Like, think about if any other president had the ability to get sent money from practically any other foreign country.
They feel excellent, right?
That's insane. Jimmy Carter had to sell his peanut farm. So, like, this is like actual insane shit.
Yeah, it's something that I think comes with having a billionaire president.
And it's not America first that Donald Trump is perpetuating. It's the rich first. So if you care about America first, you care about the working class, you care about middle class people, you should be for a universal health care, universal child care. You should be for increasing access to housing affordability. And Donald Trump didn't have a plan for any of those things. Not a health care plan, a child care plan, a housing affordability plan. He had no plan to lower prices. He had no plan to build the wall.
So in terms of the health care, I don't believe it to be the president's job to really interfere. I'm America first in the sense of, I guess you'd say, limited government. Like, how do I say this? I don't think it should be the president's job to interfere with the Federal Reserve. He's had issues with Jerome Powell, you know about that. And, he's threatened indirectly to kind of kick him out if he doesn't cut rates soon. He called him Mr. Too Late, and I don't believe that Donald Trump should have the power to influence the Federal Reserve that way. What are your thoughts on that?
Obviously, he's obviously overstepping his boundaries like he does in practically every scenario. Okay. He's done that with the Supreme Court recently, where he completely has not accepted a Supreme Court order, which is actually a constitutional crisis. Okay, so he undermines our rule of law, our constitution, our court system, our democracy. Right. I mean, this guy is practically against every core American value that we've literally grown up believing in. So how can you stand by and support this man when he violates practically every American value that you grew up believing in?
It's an America face deal. America is going to be seen as a global superpower as soon as they keep spending a lot on defense. We are the world's sugar daddy in a sense. I see it as, with how much we do give in aid, and it's unfortunate. And I think that's why we are seen as so prosperous. Our companies that are domestic, they grow. S&P 500 always does well, but it's unfortunate state that we live in. But getting back to the Jewish influence,
But before you do, tariffs will make the GDP worse. The Atlanta Fed has projected for Q1, we're down 3.7%.
You're against tariffs? All right.
Absolutely.
That's a good
right. The vast tariffs, right? You could say targeted tariffs in certain instances make sense or are justified, but it doesn't make any sense to do universal broadband tariffs on practically every country around the world and destabilize relations with our allies.
Yeah.
He killed our relations with Canada, practically killed our relations with the EU, right? They don't trust Donald Trump right now. And that's a big threat because that gives Putin more power, it gives China more power, and it gives us less influence around the world to spread things like democracy and things that you would consider valuable.
Yeah, in regards to tariffs, I truly believe that tariffs are putting America first. I'm pro-tariff personally, and I get why you may be against it. And for me personally, I'm not worried about short-term numbers. People are going to build their political beliefs around what's going to best benefit them. There's a reason why people vote Democrat. There's a reason why people vote Republican. And for me, building back America, bringing jobs home, I think that's really the future. And if it takes 10 years, if it takes 20 years, that's fine. I really do want my children to be able to retire. I want them to live in a strong nation where they'll never have to worry about job security. And I'm pro-tariff. I'm not really concerned with short-term numbers. You can fret over S&P 500 being down. I think it's today it's rallied, but I think it's like 7% down this week. It could be down 40%. It doesn't impact me. I want the jobs to come back to America, and that's what's important for our future.
So you'd be okay with the stock market going, S&P 500, the top 500 American companies going down 40% under Trump's administration. Secondly, I just want to acknowledge there's no good evidence from any economist, from any studies or anything that indicates that we're going to somehow be better off in the long run based upon these tariffs. So what makes you believe that?
Well, I mean, if it's very difficult and more expensive to manufacture elsewhere, American companies are going to have this paradigm shift of knowing what's good for them, and bring jobs back to America. I'm not talking about, tech support jobs. I'm not talking about non-technical jobs. I'm talking about blue collar jobs, car manufacturing, those core jobs that made America so strong, I think, in the 60s, 70s, before jobs were pushed off foreignly for cheaper labor. I think that's a beautiful thing, and that will make up the middle class. That's a lot of middle class people. So it's a short-term issue, but bring back jobs is what's going to make people more wealthy, reach the American dream.
Yeah, so inevitably to bring back jobs, you'd be propping up industries in the United States that are less profitable. So why would you rather Americans spend their time doing less profitable actions rather than, acknowledging the opportunity costs? They could be engaging in other activities that are more profitable for them to engage in, because there's comparative advantage around the world. It's not just cheap labor. It's some other countries around the world are better at specialized manufacturing in certain scenarios, right? They have more manufacturing plants, so they can add more supply into the market, which will lower the price, right? There are plenty of things that are relevant towards the global supply chains that are even relevant to our manufacturing. In order for us to manufacture in the first place, right, it relies on materials that come from other countries. And if you tariff those, right, it'll be less profitable for manufacturers in the United States to manufacture the products in the United States based upon the materials that came from other countries. Yeah. So you're harming manufacturer workers, you're harming service workers, you're harming everyone in the economy, practically every single person. Who did tariffs help?
Can you say that question?
Who did tariffs help? I actually genuinely don't know.
For me, it's just I can't be changed on it. I don't think this is a good talking point. I'm very set on tariffs, and if it hurts America in the short term, that's fine.
In the long run, though? If it hurts America in the long run, would you still support tariffs?
I mean, no, but I wouldn't support them, but I don't believe them to be harmful in the long run. I really don't. America's going to have a period where it's transitory. It's just unfortunate to see that we've put ourselves into this position, shipping jobs off, and if they are more specialized, materials are an issue. I mean, bring it back. If it hurts America for the next 5 years, so be it. But if my children can retire, be happy, be financially set.
Without as much Social Security funding, without as much Medicare funding, without as much Medicaid funding, without as much food stamps funding, without as much funding for the VA. He wants to cut all these different social programs so he can give tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires. Do you really think that money's going to go to you and your kids, or do you think that money is going to go to rich, huge conglomerates in the United States that already own literally practically huge amounts of industries, right? That's who's going to be making the money. It's not you, it's not your children, it's not the manufacturing workers. It's the American companies that have less competition because now they've drowned out the global competition. So if you want less competition, if you want higher prices, vote for Donald Trump, continue to support Donald Trump, because he'll make it worse for you, he'll make it worse for your family, and also there's a spider on your shirt.
Whoopsies.
Yeah, but genuinely, you say that it's beneficial in the long run. Do you have any evidence that tariffs are positive in the long run?
In the long run, I'm going to let it play out. I trust people that are smarter than me. And often in debate, there's this absolute that tax cuts are going to immediately ruin all funding. It's a short-term thing. There's still going to be money coming in for our programs. And, we could both be critical of American spending. We could say that's been excessive. Would you say it's been excessive?
Yeah, Donald Trump signed off on more debt-related spending, $8.4 trillion overall, $4.8 trillion non-COVID related, compared to the Biden-Harris administration, $4.3 trillion overall, $2.2 trillion non-COVID related. So Donald Trump spent more. Donald Trump signed off on more debt-related spending, and somehow it gets credited for less spending?
Yeah, I think this is a very good, useful case for Doge. I know that you're anti-Doge, and you're probably very critical of Elon's involvement with the administration. Why are we letting a billionaire take control and have this oversight of Federal Reserve money computers, as he refers to them? And I have trust in the system. It's America first. And thank you so much, Parker.